If you have a Leatherman Multitool and you've been looking for ways to customize it, to improve it, to modify it, well, there's actually tons and tons of makers out there giving you some great options in so many different ways. It's hard to even contain it in one video. So today we're going to take a look at just some of the add-ons that I've come across in recent memory that might be worth taking a look at. So before we get started, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who sent products for me to show in this video. Some of them have been waiting for like literally months for me to finally get around to talking about it. So their patience is very much appreciated. Now we're going to follow this up at some point with like a master list video of all the different places that you can find modifications for Leatherman multi-tools and other multi-tools. I will be continuing to update that video when it finally comes out, but I didn't want these individuals to wait any longer to see the light of day. So let's talk about them one at a time. The first one is this. Now, these are some very inexpensive add-ons that work with the Leatherman bit extender. So there's a little slot on the inside that actually uses a pressure fit and allows these to become an independent screwdriver to go with the bit. So it kind of gives you this little add-on. And these are really inexpensive, less than $10. They even have some varieties that include a little pocket clip. So I really like this. And what's surprising is that even though it's 3D printed, I'm pretty impressed with the overall strength. And it makes sense because the screw is going all the way through and kind of connecting with the wider section. So you'd have to snap it at a very strong point in order for it to break. It's going to do the job. And if you think about it, this type of screwdriver, it's not meant for heavy torque. That's when you would pull out the Leatherman and actually put it in there to allow you to get more leverage. But most of the time, this is going to get the job done. And that's what I really like. So there's also opportunities where you have, say, holding on a nut on one side and then you're screwing something in on the other. That happens. So having a handle for your bit extender is really awesome. And yes, this does work, in fact, with the ratchet driver as well. And I think a lot of people would like something like this. And I think for the ratchet driver, because it is a little bit longer, maybe go with the slightly smaller handle. There's a bunch of different varieties that he has, some with clips, some without clips, of different lengths. So you can kind of pick and choose the one you want. In fact, here's the smallest one, which would probably work really well in a sheath. Yeah, that would probably be a nice addition to the inside sheath. And actually with this one, I can really get up there towards the head. So it depends on what you're looking for, whether you want the added length, right, of having the handle and grabbing it down here, or if you want to grab it up here. You get to pick and choose. He's got a bunch of different options on his Etsy page. Highly recommend checking it out. Very inexpensive and a nice little add-on that's worth considering. Now, next is something I think people have been asking for a really long time. And this individual actually devised a way to make a hammering end that can be installed on a Leatherman wave. So this replaces all of the internal implements on one of the two sides and actually allows it to have a hammering section. Now, that does mean you're going to have to disassemble your tool in order to get it to work. And we will be actually installing this on a separate handle at some point to test it out. But I like what he's done here because the idea is that it actually rests itself on the opposite side, meaning that when you do hammer with it, it's not putting all its pressure on the joints of the hammer. It's distributing it among the two handles. And that's great. So I think that this will end up being a really cool add-on. And they even went ahead and made a location for the Leatherman bits. So this will actually fit that as well. And as far as retention is concerned, what he's done is incorporate a space to put a string that will actually create some friction and hold it in place. So you'll be able to use an inline driver as well. I'm definitely looking forward to trying this in the future, and is yet another maker that is doing these 3D printed offerings that you can find on Shapeways. And yeah, I love it. I think this is only the third maker that I know of, maybe fourth, that is doing things on Shapeways like this. And it's pretty cool to see another take from another individual who wants to try something different. So if you've been looking for a hammering end and you want to install it on the Leatherman Wave, you prefer the tool set instead of the more sparse one you'll find on the Leatherman Signal, this might be a really, really good option. I'll leave a link to this down in the description. Definitely worth checking it out if you're up for a little bit of modification. Now, when it comes to actually taking this apart, that's where the next company comes in mind. Now, the products from Multiparts Store are really good if you're actually trying to do the modifications in the first place. And what they have available are all of the tools you need in order to disassemble, well, a lot of different tools. So first of all, if you have a Gerber tool, they have wrenches for that are made here in the US. Reasonable price as well, under 20 bucks. They have wrenches that will allow you to disassemble pretty much everything. So you get all 4 wrenches that will allow you to disassemble the mini tool and the Micra and also every standard knurled nut that's out there. And then you have them broken down into the medium large, which is what you need for the majority of tools, as well as the small and the XL. And so this one is probably the least used. In fact, I can't remember the last time I used mine, but this set, the medium large, this will cover like things like the Leatherman Bond, where the large one will work for this section over here, and the small section will work for the opposite side. Let me show you. So you're gonna need 2 wrenches, especially on this, but I recommend using both wrenches each time because it'll keep the little stop on the pivot from deforming. But yeah, you could see this actually locks in and you can actually rotate the pivot from there and it won't damage the head. And it's especially needed over here where you could see that the frame kind of buries the nut, where if you push this down and you hold onto it, like push it down this way, you have plenty of connection to allow it to loosen up. So over here, yeah, same thing, no problem. And then you have 2 wrenches, so you can hold one on one side, which I used to do something like that. And then the other side you can then loosen up. It's better if you actually clamp this down before you would try to attempt this, but these wrenches will get the job done and they won't do any damage to the frame or the nut. So those are great. You also have access, and theirs are a little bit better quality than the ones I used to offer. These T10 security Torx, really good option if you like to disassemble the other types, which is their Leatherman Wave and Surge. These are actually T10 security Torx, and so you have a pair for disassembling those. That covers pretty much all of your disassembly needs, but if you need additional spacers, they offer those as well. The 3.5 mil are for the, where is it? The Leatherman Arc over here, and the pre-P4 and P2 if you could still find those. And the 5mm are for basically everything else. These will work in the Leatherman Wave, Surge. It'll work on some of the clones as well because they also have 5mm pivots. It's a little bit wider than the standard size, but they're going to get the job done just fine. So I love that they offer this pack. I'll probably be buying a few more myself because I could always use a couple extras. And they're gonna come in handy, I think, you know, in the future because I'm gonna be doing a lot more modifications. Now they also offer, for those who like them, I don't, but for those who do, they offer tabs that you can fit into your various different multi-tools. So the Free Series, the Wave, and so on. They have one even for the Skeletal. Let's see, what do they have here? They have them for the Skeletal, Gerber Center Drive, Leatherman Wingman, Wave, and the Surge. That's awesome. So good options there. And the other thing I saw that was really cool is they have these titanium pick tools. And I'm only going to do the slim one because that seems to work the best. I recommend getting the slim variation, but this allows you to store it underneath where the pocket clip usually goes. So you can actually open that up and actually store it. So now you have a lanyard spot if you want to. It also works as, check this out, a little spot if you wanted to use this T-handle, but I don't know if that makes that much sense, but it does fit that shape. And yeah, now you have a titanium pick that you can use on various different things. And there's just a lot of really random things where you have to like cut something out or reach in there, and it's just a useful thing to have. And you know, I saw this on the NASA charge, and I'm just glad someone made a item that you can use for this. I think he's not the only one, but it's just a good idea in general. It's just a good product and a good concept to include something like this. I think it's embarrassing that Leatherman hasn't done it, but hey, this is made in America. It's titanium. It doesn't, you know, it's just awesome. Very cool. So Multiparts Store, I'll leave a link to their Amazon page, as well as I think they have their own website as well. So definitely check them out, worth considering. So I'm really glad we just talked about the Multiparts Store and the ability to disassemble things, because this might be the reason why you choose to do so. So this guy reached out to me on Instagram a little while ago, and I found out, and I didn't know till he did, that he makes these awesome G10 scales and other materials for the Leatherman Charge series. Now, he'll do it for the ones that have the knurled nuts and the ones that have the T10 security torques. You can just select which one you want. And he gave me a sampling of some of the different G10 units that he has. Now, this is not the way it's gonna come broken, but this is a sample so you can see what it looks like. Here's a red one. I mean, really did a really good job. I like the red one a lot. Let's see, we got this pattern. He's got wood handles with some topo lasered in as well. That's pretty clever. We have yellow, green, burgundy. I think that is that actually micarta. I think that might be micarta actually, not G10. Carbon fiber, which I'm pretty sure is what the, or no, is that carbon fiber or G10? It's hard to tell. I think it's G10. It's just done with a really cool pattern. Love it. This is carbon fiber right here. Love that. The blue, the pink, if that's your thing. Oh, that one. Yeah, now that's a micarta I can get behind. Yeah, very nice. I like that one a lot. And then the plain black. Those are all samples of just some of the work that he can do. And he also sent 2 complete sets, one for each type of what do you call it? Of handle. And check out the way he packs this thing. Now, this is taking it a step higher in presentation. I mean, come on, that is super cool. So this one, I believe, is for the knurled nut variation, aka the Charge Plus. And then I think this one is designed for a Charge G10 or a Charge TTI, I think, pretty sure. Now, I don't know if you might need extra spacers to do on the TTI, because I think the handle scales are thicker, potentially. But my goodness, look at that. I'm telling you, this is cool. I will leave a link to his page. I don't know if he has an Etsy page or if it's just Instagram, but whatever I do have, you better believe I will be leaving a way for you to get a hold of this guy. A very nice work, very, very nice work. We're definitely gonna be modifying our Leathermans with those in the future and probably having a separate video, but definitely, like, I love this kind of stuff. I really do. And making your tool your own, I'm all about it. Goes perfectly with what we just talked about with the Multiparts Store. You're probably gonna need those tools in order to make it work. And he also has something similar, which is a little pen that fits in that same spot. So let me try this. I have now tried it myself. I'm pretty sure this requires a Charge series tool that has more space. In fact, I'm gonna try it with, I happen to have a Charge G10 right now. So let's take a look and see if I can get it to fit in that spot. I don't know if it will without some kind of future modification. I feel like I'm missing a key part here. So there's probably a way to do this, and it probably has to do with his scales. I'm gonna guess that it works specifically with his scales. Let me see something. Yeah, maybe. I'll have to touch base with him and see, but that is a nice little addition. I'd like to have a little pen underneath my my multi-tool implements. So that's a nice little addition. I will find out more information about that, but you can probably just ask him on Instagram and he'll probably be able to explain it a little bit better than I can. Now, let's take a look at some other items that maybe you want to consider as well. Now, a while back, I talked briefly about a bit extender from a company called Galvanox. And I noticed that they have an edition specifically designed for a Leatherman bit holder. Now, I'll be real with you. It's a bit of a meme, and here's why. This thing is way more durable than the bit holder on the Leatherman Wave. The reality is you could easily, I mean, look at how much metal is really on each side of this compared to this big hunk of steel. Like, you're gonna shear this thing off way before you're able to unscrew a stubborn nut. So I suggest using this tool with caution if you're interested. I would never use it in a T-handle for like formation because you're definitely gonna put too much torque on this and probably crack it. But the fact that it exists, you know what? I think that's cool. I think it's cool. I'm glad that it does. I'm sure someone will get use out of it. It is worth a mention here, but let's be real. Your Leatherman is not as tough as this thing. That's the funny part about the whole situation. But it is a add-on that may be worth considering. And this is a company that's looking in this space and trying to come up with new iterations, new add-ons. Like, well, I don't know. Maybe the ratchet driver is a thing. I know you can't quite incorporate it the same way because of the patents, but maybe they can find a way to make something like it. That's what my hope is with this company. Now, the last one we're going to talk about briefly is something I've addressed in the past. This is from Shapeway's, what is it? I cannot remember the name of his shop right now. I think it's Micrograde Goods or Metrograde Goods. That's what it is, Metrograde Goods. And this is made by Eric. He has been doing this for a while now, and this is actually a replacement for the blade on the Skelletool that allows you to use those micro utility knives. So you can see this takes a lot more work. We're talking about tapping, you know, screws and a bunch of other things. Got to cut that off. It's going to require a lot of work. So this process, whether it's, you know, adding something like this or just changing out scales, there's a variety of levels when it comes to modification, some that require you to disassemble the tool and some that are just simply improvements or add-ons or things you can slot in like this. I just want you to be aware that this is a reality. There's a lot of people out there making these designs and working on them. I'm gonna do my best to let you know about them. And hopefully in our future video, we'll put them all in one place for you to make it a little bit easier. But I didn't want these guys to wait any longer. They definitely deserve some recognition. As always, thank you guys so much for your time, and we'll talk again soon.